talk about sex. Dean and your children? What? My name's Laura Duran. Class is Bio 300 Human Sexuality with Dr. Adona Ramito. Sexting, in the context of using it with involving your children, is definitely not something that you really want to talk about or even think about. But it's important for parents to know, just clearly defining what is sexting. When did it start? What has sexting done to sexual behaviors in teens? Why is educating your kids so important? What are the potential consequences of sexting? How to identify if maybe your child is doing it? And what you can do as a parent to help your kids avoid being put in a bad situation. Wikipedia's definition. Sexting is sending, receiving, or forwarding sexually explicit messages, photographs, or images primarily between mobile phones of oneself to others. It may also include the use of computer or any digital device. Technology. It's so important in this day and age. There's so many ways to keep connected, especially in times like right now. All these new smartphones, all these upgraded SOS and new, bigger and better versions, all these amazing apps. Social media is a huge one. And all of these things at the touch of our fingers, at our fingertips. Wikipedia also mentions that sexting became very popular in the 21st century, which is completely understandable. All of this technology has advancements, smartphones, everything is bigger and better, faster. It's so convenient and fast for everybody. And it's so popular that 22% of girls have sent or posted naked pictures. 80% of sexters are under 18. 29% of teens think sexting is expected in a relationship. How sad is that? 2 out of 5 young people don't tell their parents what they do online. And 51% of girls think sexting is a result of pressure from guys. Well, now that we know what it is, what do we do next? Interestingly, in a study published online in March 2020 at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, it was found that teenagers actually have had a decrease in sexual activity. There's been lower instances of teenage pregnancy. Kids are just not engaging physically anymore as much as they were years ago, which is quite interesting. It's great news, right? But that's not it. Those indicators no longer offer a complete picture. These kids aren't telling you that they're doing stuff online. So yes, they may not be physically interacting, but since 2019, among 12 to 17-year-olds, 14% reported sending nude images compared with 12% 3 years earlier. 23% received them, and that's up 19%. Now what? We have to recognize that this is a huge problem and it can't be ignored. Yes, they aren't involved in as many interactions physically, but sexting is a big deal. We can't be naive. We can't think, oh, my child would never do that. They just won't do that. They're good. They're good kids. So it's important to talk to your kids about it so that they know. Parental controls. Is that too much? Possibly, but it's good to talk to them and be able to address these things with them. Phone checks, it's not too much. You don't need to read all the specific details, but you can check to see if there's pictures or anything that they definitely should not be doing. And you can't ever be too naive. It's out there. Emojis are geared towards sexual content. You don't even realize it, but there's so many things out there. And there's really not much we can do but educate our children. Now, who's responsible to educate our children? Many parents are concerned about digital safety, but only 40% are talking regularly to their children about what appropriate content to view and share online. That leaves 6 out of every 10 youth potentially vulnerable to victimization. And this is why we need to talk about it in schools. Schools are afraid to bring this topic in, which seems silly. I mean, they're already talking about sexual education. Why not add one more topic which really has to deal with it? They don't realize that there's so many things that can happen, and, it's not good for them. You think, it can't be that bad, can it? Actually, it can. There's so many potential issues that can happen. There's exposure. You send one picture to one person, they can share it with 2 or 10. You can't control that. It can go viral. The one person shares it with somebody and they share it on social media. There's no way in stopping it. It can just get reshared. You can't control who gets it. You don't know who gets it or sees it. It could just be disastrous. Reputation. If someone sees your texts or photos that you've sent to somebody, even if they were personal or meant for that one person, they could take, a different look on you, and they can have, their feelings change, and it wouldn't be good for your child. Adults, you always run that risk of having other people see it, whether it's your favorite teacher or your aunt or somebody that you respect. Talk about embarrassing. Kids' self-image can be destroyed. I mean, they could feel guilty for even partaking, or they could feel maybe like they're being disrespected, because if somebody else keeps wanting more and more pictures. There's legal consequences. If you're sending photos under the age of 17, it's considered illegal, and you could be put on a list for sexual predators. It could backfire on you. Your intentions are good and you're trying to be cool with that guy, and it maybe turns them off. It's not something that they really wanted to see or hear. As parents, we need to be aware of what our children are doing. There could be signs. They might be secretive or anxious about their phones. You notice that they're deleting histories, overreacting when you pick up their phones, changes in behavior. They're using passwords or security devices on their phones so nobody can have access to them. Or they may become defensive, or when they're being questioned. And these are not all clear indicators if, they're doing all of these behaviors, and this is definitely what's happening. But it's, a clear warning for you to be able to sit down and have a talk with them to find out what's going on. It's a very important subject, and it's very important to educate your children so that they have respect for you, for themselves. Communication is key, and you have to keep your eyes open, and you have to be firm, and they have to know, what can happen. Ultimately, we're responsible for our children. As uncomfortable as it might be to sit and talk to them face to face, they need to know what can happen and the possible outcomes of their actions. We empower them by providing these devices and paying for the service, so we must educate them. They need to know what consequences there are for these behaviors, and then they can make that decision on their own and then have to live with those consequences. It's in your hands, people, as parents. It's our duty to take care of our children. Thank you.